Well, this is the issue. The ECB it tries to represent 17 disparate economies, disparate federal law systems, disparate cultures with one central bank. So they're going to make one country very, very happy. A couple of people are going to be upset, and then a lot of others are going to be pissed off. And that's what's happening. So here's a quiz. What economy do you think the ECB listens to the most?
Germany.
Germany. So it's not really ECB, it's the Bundesbank. It's the Bundesbank recast as ECB. Okay? Next to Germany, who do they listen to the most?
France.
France. So it's really a Franco-German thing. And I'm an American, I'm not into European politics, but if you follow the bouncing ball, that's what it looks like. Now, the ECB is working according to what the Franco-German economic connection needs. And then what happens to countries who have a lot less say-so, such as Portugal, or Ireland, or Italy? How are their economies doing relative to France or Germany?
Spain, Greece.
Spain,
whatever.
Greece. You could go on, and the thing is, you cannot make everybody happy. They don't even speak the same language. You have different laws, you have different economies. You twist, you turn and twist the central bank macroeconomic policy to fit one or two economies. You're going to twist it away from the others. And you don't, we're not talking 1, 2, or 3, you have 17. I think it's 17 now, right? And then you have the British who strongly consider pulling out. The British used to be reserve currency. They're very powerful. Not very big, but they're very big guns. You know, and to be truthful, the British and American guns are one and the same if you could listen behind closed doors. It's a mess over there. So what I would do would never happen. And I disassemble the euro and reconstruct. In doing that, you're going to have a lot of financial mess. But you can build it properly first time, the next time around. But that's never going to happen.
That's what I'm thinking too. Isn't it good to take Britain out and take countries out of the EU?
Yeah, well, I mean, is Britain is not part of the European monetary.
No, that's right.
Yeah, you know, and Britain has its own currency. That's why Britain tried very, very hard, if you know the story, to become part of the EMU.
Yeah.
And do you know what happened? If you remember, I think it was in the 80s, early 90s. Well, there's an American national, but he's from Europe. This guy named George Soros, and he got the credit for it, but it's a whole bunch of hedge fund guys. And in order to enter the EMU, the European Monetary Union, if I'm not mistaken, and become part of the Euro group, you had to quell the volatility of your currency. So it had to trade within a certain band. And so, very difficult to do. What Greece did was they hired Goldman Sachs and cheated, basically. And that's what Italy did, and Spain and everybody else. Goldman Sachs got paid a lot of money. And this is why Goldman Sachs would never hire me, because I tell the truth. Hi, guys. So, and Britain tried to do the same. They tried to keep the pound from fluctuating outside of the band. When you announce that we're going to make sure the pound stays between, say, 80 cents and $1.20, and you say that publicly, and then you have a whole bunch of hedge fund guys who say, well, I know they're going to buy it when it hits 80, or sell it when it hits 20. When it hits 80, what am I going to do? I'm going to do the opposite, because I know they're going to buy it off me. And so George Soros went to Britain and said, you know, this is a very bad idea. You know, the EMU doesn't fit your economy. You're going to have all these speculators who are going to, you know, try and trade against you. And they said, get out of here, you don't know what you're talking about. I heard you made 2 or 3 trips. He said, okay, well, let's do this the hard way. He traded against the British Central Bank. And every time he went down to the 80% barrier, he traded against it because he knew he had a guaranteed buyer, the British Central Bank. Now, the British Central Bank prints its own currency. When you have your own currency, you can just go and hit a button and hit print and make more of it. Okay, but eventually you do damage to your economy if you keep printing money. And every time it hit that barrier, the hedge fund guys, with Soros being the biggest PR agent, just kept selling against them. It was guaranteed money because you knew that these guys had to trade again. They had to buy your bid. They had to accept your bid, or they break the barrier. So after a while, the British Central Bank actually started running out of money, and they gave up. And then when they gave up, they weren't accepted into the EMU. And George Soros, this is back in the mid-'80s, I think, had the largest payday of any investor known to that time. He made $1 billion that year. Now, that was 30 years ago, roughly. That's the same as, what, 12 to 15 billion? 1 year payday. Not bad. Now, they should erect a statue of George Soros at Trafalgar Square, because now that they're not part of EMU, they don't have to go through everything else, everything everybody's going through. He actually prevented them from going to something that was detrimental to them. But when they pull out the economic trading bloc, that's going to cause more volatility. I think it's going to happen no matter what. It's not going to happen officially, but the euro was put together haphazardly. They tried to emulate the United States, but they want to do it in 20 and 30 and 40 years with no wars, no common language, no common federal law system. They're basically trying to cheat, and that's not the way it works. So I think the euro, as it was conceived, is guaranteed to fail. Absolutely guaranteed. And it's to get everybody to speak the same language and have the same economy.